So now let us look at the structure of banking in India. India has a very unique structure because the structure of banking in India has evolved over a period of time depending upon the then exigencies, depending upon the pressures and pull at each stage of development. If you look at the structure of banking in India, it is one of the best structures because it has withstood the shocks and pressures of economy and commerce and changing times for a long period of time. In fact, it is better than the US system of banking. In US system, the banks are, there is a fundamental flaw. Peter Rose, an authority on American banking, says there is a fundamental flaw in the US banking system because in US, banks are state subjects. The banks are controlled by the various states. There is no central regulation that controls. There is a central regulation, but mostly the banks are controlled by the state legislation. Therefore, they were not able to evolve into a all-pervasive bank. The banks had to open and perform only within the given state. That was a fundamental flaw in the US banking. That is why unit banking is very popular in US. But in India, the structure of banking is commercial banks are controlled by the central government, not the state government. It is one of the basic factors for a very strong structure we have in India. Then in India, banks are basically divided into commercial banks and cooperative banks. What is a commercial bank? A commercial bank is a for-profit bank. It operates for profit. On the other hand, cooperative bank is for the welfare of its members. Then second point of difference between commercial bank and cooperative bank is that a commercial bank will take deposits and give loan to all its account holders. Anyone can become an account holder. On the other hand, for a cooperative, for a person to deposit money or to take a loan, he has to become a member of the cooperative. Then the third point of difference between commercial bank and a cooperative bank is cooperative banks are controlled by, commercial banks are controlled by Reserve Bank of India alone. On the other hand, cooperative banks are partly controlled by Reserve Bank of India and partly by Register of Cooperative Societies. So India, in several states, very well developed, because cooperative banks are a state controlled, state legislated unit. In several states like Maharashtra and Gujarat, cooperative banks have evolved in a very big way. But in many other states, cooperative banking has not evolved to that extent. So this is the fundamental difference. You can divide banks in India into basically commercial banks and cooperative banks. And the Reserve Bank of India normally publishes data about banks called all scheduled commercial banks. The data you find, the ASCB, all scheduled commercial bank, means the cooperative banks are excluded. Only ASCB data, that is all scheduled commercial banks data, it is taking into account for many decision taking. Now next we shall understand how commercial banks are bifurcated. As I told you, commercial bank is for profit bank. Then commercial banks are bifurcated into scheduled commercial banks and non-scheduled commercial bank. Why this difference? Why some banks are called a scheduled commercial bank and why some banks have to be called a non-scheduled? What is this? We have to look into the history of commercial banking in India. Then only we will be able to understand fully why this difference. Before independence, in the years 1930s and 1920s and 1980s, there were a large number of banks in India. In fact, in 1930, in the banking system, there were something around 1,258 banking institutions registered under the Indian Companies Act. And many of them very, very small. And as a result, they were failing frequently. My own grandmother has told about one bank, Hanuman Bank was there during her father's time, in which they had kept some money, and that bank failed and they lost a lot of wealth. Arbuthnot Bank failed. There is a long history of banks. If you look at during 1913 to 1936, 481 banks failed in the country. And what was the reason? Most of the banks were very small. And the average capital was something around 2.9 lakhs only. Therefore, Reserve Bank of India, therefore, the banks had to be classified into A class bank and B class bank. A class bank were banks which were having capital more than 5 lakhs, and B class banks were banks with less than 5 lakhs. Because of the frequent failures of banks, people started losing their faith in the banking system. This had to be restored. And therefore, in 1935, when Reserve Bank of India Act was passed, they brought certain banks, they categorized certain banks as scheduled banks and certain banks as non-scheduled banks. Now, who are the scheduled banks? For a bank to become a scheduled bank, it had to satisfy 3 conditions. One is that the paid up capital and reserves of the bank should be more than 5 lakhs. This was incorporated in 1935. And this proviso is valid even today. Our legislators have not had time to change it or update it to the current level. Even in today, 2016, the same 5 lakhs is there. Anyhow, for any scheduled bank to become a scheduled bank, it has to be added in the second schedule of Reserve Bank of India. What is a scheduled bank? So far as scheduled banks are concerned, we have seen why scheduled bank. Why scheduled bank? Because of frequent failures, we had to divide the banks into 2 classes, and in one bank which is having more capital more than 5 lakhs, so that was the reason for creating scheduled banks. Then what is a scheduled bank? Any bank that is added in the second schedule of Reserve Bank of India is a scheduled bank. What are the conditions to be satisfied to be added into the second schedule? There are 3 conditions. One is that the paid up capital and funds of the bank should be more than 5 lakhs. The second condition is a very important condition. Section 42(6) of Reserve Bank of India Act very clearly says, I have given the exact wordings in the slide. Its affairs, the bank's affairs are not being conducted in any manner detrimental to the interest of the depositor. The second condition that the bank should fulfill is that the affairs of the bank should be conducted for the weal and welfare of the depositors. Third condition is it must be a corporation and not a partnership or a single owner firm. In those days, many banks were called indigenous banks, which were owned by partnership firms. Therefore, to be eligible to become a scheduled bank, you must have a basic capital of 5 lakhs. The number 2, the bank's affairs should be conducted for the welfare of the depositors. Number 3, it should be a corporation and not a partnership. If all these 3 conditions are satisfied, a bank will be added to the second schedule of the Reserve Bank of India Act. Then it becomes a scheduled bank. Now, if a bank becomes a scheduled bank, what are the advantages to that bank? The first advantage is a very big advantage. As I told you, the pre-independence era was sprinkled with several bank failures, and the people were suffering from the fear that their banks may fail. People were losing confidence in that. Therefore, if a bank is added to the second schedule, then Reserve Bank of India will come to the bank's rescue in times of crisis, as a lender of last resort. If a bank, suppose you need money, you go to a bank and borrow. If a bank needs money, who will lend? Nobody will lend. And especially if a bank is going to get into trouble, or if a bank has no sufficient cash to meet all its liabilities, then no bank will help it. Under that condition, who will help? Only Reserve Bank of India has to help. So if a bank is a scheduled bank, then Reserve Bank of India will help that bank as a lender of last resort. Then the second advantage is that the scheduled bank will automatically become a member of the clearing house. These are the two advantages that prompted many banks to become scheduled bank. And today, who are all the scheduled banks? This question may be asked. Today, all banks, including cooperative banks admitted in the second schedule, are included as a scheduled banks. If you look at all banks, almost all the banks that are working in India, that are performing in India, that are doing business in India, are scheduled banks, including cooperative banks that are admitted into the second schedule. And only 3 local area banks are not scheduled banks. Which are the 3 local area banks which are not scheduled banks? One is Coastal Local Area Bank. Second is Krishna Bhima Samruddhi Local Area Bank. Third is Subhadra Local Area Bank. What is this local area bank? You might not have heard about it. It was the brainchild of our P. Chidambaram when he was finance minister. He wanted a small bank to take care of that particular locality's interest must be started. Instead of having huge bank which cannot understand the local requirements, if there is a local bank which can understand the local requirements, they will perform better. Therefore, local area banks were given licenses, but that movement was a failure. Among the 4 local area banks, Capital Area Bank Limited has got license to operate as a small bank. Now Reserve Bank has started giving license for small banks, therefore it has converted itself into a small bank. The local area banks are having very, very small operations and therefore they are the only non-scheduled commercial banks in India at present. So this you can say almost all banks are coming under the scheduled banks except these 3 local area banks which I have listed below. Even among the 4, Capital Area Bank is the first local area bank to have started to have converted itself into a small bank as per the recent license guidelines of Reserve Bank of India.